Over the last year, or was this something that was spun up in kind of the heat of the moment as you were learning about a new pathogen coming online?
No, that's something we developed over the years, because one day when it must have been maybe 10 or 15 people still on First Street, the old building next to Rory's company. I walked into one of our scientists' office, and he's literally designing an mRNA in Excel, where every cell is a nucleotide. And I look at him like, what are you doing?
And that might still be happening amongst people listening to this conversation. That's still the norm.
Yeah. And I told him, this is crazy. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because you just make one mistake in one cell, and the whole drug you're designing is wrong. And we're going to wait 3 weeks for it to be made. And then it's going to be spending time and money to test it in animals. And in 2 months' time, we're going to get the result of an experiment. It's going to be failing. And I will have no idea if it's going to fail because the drug is not working, or because the drug that we think was injected is the drug that was injected. So it's madness, and we're never going to make it. We're going to go bankrupt. And so I got a bunch of extremely good, IT employees that we hired, and I basically designed what we call the drug design studio. For those of you that are curious, go online, look at our website. In a research engine section, you will see a quick couple-minute video. And literally, you design a drug on the computer. Or scientists can do it from their iPad, from home, or the couch, or a computer anywhere in the world. It's like designing a Tesla. You pick the components you want, you click order, and you're done.
That's incredible. And by the way, for the record, that design that you had within 48 hours, was that the first draft of the vaccine, or was that the final version of the vaccine, or both?
So it was clearly the final version, because after we click order, we never went back. We never changed one atom of that vaccine. The vaccine that many of you have gotten was designed on a computer in 48 hours from sequence being online. And they took 48 hours because they were freaking out, because they knew that the decision they were making.
So 48 hours was too slow.
Yeah. I mean, they could have done it in 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Because literally you copy and paste, when you know where the spike protein is in the sequence of a coronavirus, you go, you pick it up, you copy and paste with your mouse, you drop it in our software, you select 10 scientific or technology choices for the vaccine, and you click order and you're done. You could do it in 10 minutes if you had the guts to do it.
Who you are, what you do, and actually where you live as well.
I'm Matt Hancock. I'm the UK Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, and I'm also the proud shareholder of Genomics England, which is one of the most cutting-edge organisations for genome sequencing in the world. And we, in December, hit the target of 100,000 whole genome sequenced, and we have reiterated a new goal of reaching a million in the UK over the next 5 years. And the critical next phase will be to deliver that within clinical settings in a way that
He's a former Rothschild banker turned president of France. He recently declared that he wants to reign as a Jupiterian president, much like the Roman god of gods. And now, he wants to make vaccines mandatory for everyone in France. So suffice it to say, I think it's time for a PFT expose on the president of France, Emmanuel Macron. Much like an old wine packaged in a new shiny bottle, Emmanuel Macron comes from a background of prestigious schooling, powerful business partnerships, and Rothschild mentoring. At 39, he's the youngest president France has ever had, but don't let his age fool you. This boy had to grow up quick. He met his current wife, Brigitte Macron, when he was just 15 years old, and she was his 39-year-old French teacher. Yes, you did hear that correctly. He was 15 and she was 39. He is now 39 and she's 63. In 2008, Macron paid 50,000 euros to buy himself out of his government contract, where at the time he was serving as the Inspector of Finance in the French Ministry of Economy. He then went on to become an investment banker in a very highly paid position at Rothschild and C Bank, an investment banking and asset management and wealth management service in France, which was created by David de Rothschild, Eric de Rothschild, and Edward de Rothschild in 1984 after nationalization in 1991 of Bank Rothschild by the socialist government of the President Francois Mitterrand. Rothschild and C Bank is now the French branch of the Rothschild Group, and it specializes in areas of mergers and acquisitions and advice, as well as private banking. So from the time he was a very young man, Macron was trained and groomed and mentored by an older elite class. And now his true colors are revealing themselves as he just announced that he desires to reign as a Jupiterian president. He said he desires to reign as a Jupiterian president, a remote, dignified figure like the Roman god of gods, who weighs his rare pronouncements carefully. Summoning over 900 politicians from both houses of the French Parliament to a rare Congress at the palace of Louis XIV, the Sun King, in Versailles, he threatened to overrule lawmakers with a referendum if they try to frustrate the reforms that he wishes to impose on the legislature. Such assemblies are usually reserved for times of national crisis. So he's a Jupiterian president who reigns like the Roman god of gods, and he weighs his rare pronouncements very carefully. Well, let's just put that to the test then, shall we? France to make vaccination mandatory from 2018, as it is, quote, unacceptable that children are still dying of the measles. Parents in France will be legally obliged to vaccinate their children from 2018, the government has announced. And what's the justification for this rare pronouncement, you may ask? 10 deaths from the measles in the last 8 years. Between the beginnings of 2008 and the end of 2016, more than 24,000 cases of measles were declared in France, official figures show. Of these, around 1,500 had serious complications, and there were 10 deaths. So in the 24,000 cases in the last 8 years, 10 people have died, and this is their justification for bringing in mandatory vaccines. And this comes despite the fact that statistics from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention will show that there are more complications coming from the vaccine itself than people who have died from the measles. In 2015, in my video Pro-Vaccine Campaign Exposed, I proved without a shadow of a doubt that Jennifer Hibben-White, a woman who posted a viral Facebook post who was worried that her newborn baby may have contracted the measles due to the anti-vaxxers, had large ties to Big Pharma. It was just all a big propaganda campaign designed to counter the work of so-called anti-vaxxers. So if you haven't seen this, please check it out. It's very important information in this video. I'll include a link at the end of this video. So it seems to me that France is heading towards some dark times under the reign of this Jupiterian president who was groomed by both a pedophile and a Rothschild. So is this the beginning of the end for the freedoms of people in France?